Before we dive in, take a quick second to like this video and hit subscribe. It's fast, easy, and helps more than you know. Plus, you won't miss the next story. Thanks for being here now. Let's begin. The truck roared along I-80 near Reno, Nevada, its headlights slicing through the desert night. Ava gripped the door handle and pulled myself into the cab, not waiting for Ethan to stop. The engine's deep hum vibrated through me as I slammed the door shut, sealing us inside, just the two of us. No way out. Ethan shot me a glance, his brow furrowed, eyes narrowing like he wasn't sure what he'd just let into his world. He didn't speak, just grunted, shifted gears, and pulled back onto the highway. The neon glow of Reno's casinos faded in the rearview mirror, leaving only the open road and the stars. Perfect. I stretched my legs out, letting my thigh brush against his. I didn't move away, and neither did he. And hope you don't mind company, I murmured, shrugging off my jacket, letting it slide down my arms slowly, deliberately. The thin tank top clung to my skin. Nothing underneath. Ethan's knuckles flexed on the steering wheel. A fleeting tell, but enough. I smirked. I had him. Where are you headed? Ava, he asked, his voice rough, like gravel under tires, his eyes struggling to stay on the road. I leaned back, tilting my head, watching him fight to keep his focus. Wherever you're going. His jaw clenched as the truck rumbled over the uneven asphalt, the desert wind whistling faintly outside. The movement shifted me closer, my shoulder grazing his forearm. You grip that wheel like it owes you money, I teased, my voice soft, playful, but with an edge. His throat bobbed, a subtle sign of his unravelling. Just trying to drive, he said, his voice tight, almost a growl. I let my fingers trace my collarbone, drifting lower, slow enough to pull his gaze for a split second. Is that right? My smirk deepened, because it looks like you're trying hard not to focus on something else. The truck rocked with a gust of wind, the road stretching dark ahead, lit only by the occasional flash of passing headlights. Ethan inhaled slowly, exhaled even slower, saying nothing, but I saw it the way his grip tightened, his knuckles paling, his jaw clenching. He could act unaffected, but I knew better. I had him hooked, and the night was just getting started. I-80 was desolate. The engine's steady hum a contrast to the tension building in the cab. Ethan's restraint was palpable. His hands locked on the wheel like it was his lifeline, like letting go would unravel everything. I was determined to make him let go. I shifted deliberately, pressing my thigh against his again, staying there this time. My fingertips grazed his forearm, a feather-light touch that sent a ripple through him. You're so tense. Ethan, I murmured, my voice light but teasing, like a dare. You need to relax. His throat bobbed again. I'm driving, he said, his voice strained, almost pleading. I smiled, leaning closer, my breath warm against his ear. You're gripping that wheel so tight. It looks like you're afraid to let go. I tilted my head, catching his eyes for a moment. I can help with that. His breath escaped in a sharp exhale, his body tensing further. I moved, sliding into the tight space between the seat and the console, my fingers dragging lightly over his thigh as I settled in. The truck's vibration pulsed through us both.
Ethan stiffened, one hand jerking off the wheel like he was caught between stopping me and bracing himself. "Eyes on the road," I whispered, my voice low, teasing. His fingers twitched, his chest heaving with a sharp inhale through his nose. I leaned closer, my breath brushing his skin, warm and deliberate. His body jerked, his back hitting the seat like he'd been punched in the chest. The truck swerved slightly, his foot pressing harder on the gas before he corrected himself. His knuckles were white now, his breath ragged, like he was fighting a losing battle. I smirked, the tension coiling tighter between us, electric and heavy. I moved slowly, deliberately, letting the anticipation build. His body responded before his mind could catch up. His hand flexed, fingers twitching like he wanted to reach for me but didn't dare. He exhaled a rough, uneven breath. His jaw clenched so tight I thought he might crack his teeth. Outside, the Nevada desert blurred by, a mix of dark sand and distant neon from Reno's skyline. Inside, it was just Ethan and me. The world reduced to this cramped, heated space. I pressed my nails gently against his thigh, dragging them lightly along the denim. His breath shuddered, a low sound escaping his throat. "Breathe," I murmured, my voice soft but commanding. He let out a rough, almost primal growl, his free hand gripping his leg, muscles locked with tension. He was right there, teetering on the edge, and I wanted to push him over. The CB radio crackled, shattering the moment. "Yo, Ethan, you on your way." His body jerked so hard the truck rocked beneath us. I bit my lip, hiding a grin. Terrible timing. Ethan's fingers snapped to the radio, his voice rougher than before. "Yeah. Be there soon." We pulled into the Silver Star truck stop on the outskirts of Reno, the lot nearly empty under the pale glow of sodium lights. A single truck idled near the edge, its headlights cutting through the cool desert night. Caleb leaned against the cab, arms crossed, his silhouette tall and solid, exuding a quiet confidence that demanded attention. His eyes locked on me, a slow smirk spreading across his face. I smirked back, meeting his challenge. The engine rumbled to a stop, and Ethan exhaled hard, rubbing a hand over his face, his other hand still gripping the wheel like it was keeping him grounded. I stretched slowly, my fingers grazing my collarbone, letting the motion draw his eye. His breath hitched, just barely. "Didn't realize we were meeting company," I murmured, my voice low, teasing. Caleb stepped closer, his boots crunching on the gravel, his eyes flicking between us. "You made good time." "Ethan," he said, his voice casual, but his gaze on me was anything but. Ethan tensed beside me, his fingers tightening on the wheel. "Step out for a second," Caleb said, his tone firm, not a question. Ethan hesitated, his jaw tight, then exhaled and opened the door. I watched as they moved a few steps away, their voices low, their postures rigid under the truck stop's flickering lights. They weren't looking at me, but I knew I was the topic. I leaned back against the seat, stretching my legs out, a slow smile curling my lips. Let them talk. I already knew how this night would end. The desert air seeped through the cracked window, cool against my skin, carrying the faint scent of dust and diesel. I stayed lounging in the passenger seat, my fingers idly tracing my thigh. the hum of the idling truck a steady pulse beneath me. Outside. Ethan and Caleb stood near the parked truck, their conversation clipped, their shoulders tense. I could tell they were deciding something, and I knew exactly what. A few minutes passed before they walked back, their steps slower, an unspoken agreement hanging between them. Ethan climbed back in, his hands gripping the wheel despite the truck being still. His pulse was visible in his neck, too fast, his body wound tight. Caleb leaned against the open door, one hand braced on the frame, his eyes moving over me, slow and deliberate, like he was sizing me up. "So," Caleb said, a smirk tugging at his lips. That was an interesting conversation. I stretched lazily, my tank top riding up just enough to catch his gaze. "Was it?" His smirk deepened. "We had some thoughts about you, Ava." I tilted my head, fingers grazing my collarbone, my eyes locked on his. "I bet you did." Ethan exhaled sharply, his hands flexing on the wheel like he wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. I looked between them, letting the moment stretch, feeling the tension thicken until it was almost tangible. It was electric, heavy with intent. I leaned forward, elbows resting on my knees, my voice steady. "And what's the verdict?" I asked. Caleb chuckled, low and dark, his eyes never leaving mine. "Depends. Think you can handle both of us?" The challenge sent a thrill through me, sharp and exhilarating. I smirked, leaning back, making myself comfortable. They'd lost control, I had them both now. I locked eyes with Caleb. "Hop in and find out." The door shut with a solid thud, sealing the three of us inside. The cab felt smaller, the space between us vanishing in an instant. Caleb didn't hesitate, cupping my face, his lips crashing into mine, rough and hungry. His hands roamed lower, teasing over my bare skin as my jacket slipped to the floor. I barely caught my breath before Ethan's hands were on me too, gripping my waist, pulling me back against him. His breath was warm against my neck, his touch slow, deliberate, like he was savouring every second, memorising the feel of me. The space was tight, our bodies pressed together, the scent of leather, diesel, and heat thick in the air. I moaned softly against Caleb's lips as Ethan slid his hands higher, tracing my curves, his palms firm and possessive. My fingers trailed along their waists, belt buckles clinking softly, the moment heavy with anticipation. Caleb's hand slid over my shoulders, pushing my top lower, his fingertips grazing my spine, sending a shiver through me. I leaned down, my lips brushing over Caleb's stomach, teasing just above his skin. My breath warm but fleeting. His hand moved to my hair, fingers curling slightly, a quiet groan escaping him. Behind me, Ethan didn't wait. His hands explored slowly, deliberately, each touch sending waves of anticipation through me. I gasped, my fingers tightening against Caleb, my lips hovering over his skin, playful, lingering. Ethan mirrored my rhythm, his hands deepening the tension, heightening every sensation. The truck rocked gently beneath us. The world outside Reno's neon glow, the endless desert forgotten. A low groan rumbled from Caleb's chest as I moved slowly, my lips brushing over him, knowing exactly what I was doing. His fingers tensed in my hair, his body reacting before he could stop himself. Ethan's grip on my waist tightened, his touch sending shivers through me, his breath hot against my neck. I moaned softly, leaning into the heat between us, every sensation threading tighter, pulling us closer. For a moment, I pulled back, catching my breath, my eyes darting between them. Ethan's face was taut, his jaw clenched, but his eyes burned with something raw, unguarded. Caleb's smirk was gone, replaced by a look of pure focus, his hand still resting in my hair. "Your trouble." "Ava," Caleb murmured, his voice low, almost a growl. I grinned, leaning toward him again. "You have no idea." The balance shifted. I turned my attention to Ethan, trailing my lips up his stomach, lingering near his collarbone, my breath teasing his skin. His hands tightened on me, a quiet groan escaping him as I pressed closer. Caleb's hands found my hips, his fingers pressing lightly, his presence impossible to ignore. He shifted closer, surrounding me in warmth, his breath grazing my shoulder. A sharp gasp escaped me, my fingers clenching against Ethan's thighs as I tried to steady myself. But the heat made it impossible. The rhythm built steadily, Ethan pulling me forward, Caleb anchoring me from behind. The energy was thick, every inch of my body responding, heat pooling inside me. I felt alive, electric, like I'd been waiting for this moment my whole life. The truck rocked harder now, the engine's deep hum vibrating beneath us, the energy crackling through every breath. Their hands steadied me, their touches firm yet controlled, drawing me deeper into the moment. Caleb's grip tightened, his presence unshakable, every touch fueling the growing need. My breath hitched, lost in the sounds of the truck swallowing every soft gasp. They were close, I could feel it in the thickened air, in the way their bodies tensed, in the way the moment held everything, brimming on the edge of something inevitable. I wasn't far behind. The tension climbed higher, tighter, until it finally broke, leaving only warmth between us, a shared pulse that lingered in the silence. For a while, we stayed there, tangled together, breathless, the warmth stretching into a quiet that felt almost sacred. The truck was still, the moment suspended, our bodies humming with electricity. Caleb exhaled deeply, adjusting his clothes before cracking the door open. The rush of cold desert air hit like a shock, contrasting the heat we'd created. Ethan stayed seated, his hands resting loosely on the wheel, not turning the key just yet. Neither of us moved for a moment, letting the silence hold us. Eventually, Ethan reached for the gear shift, exhaling slowly. The engine growled to life, the truck rolling forward along I-80 like nothing had happened. But something had. I could feel it in the way my heart still raced, in the way my skin tingled with the memory of their touches. I leaned back, catching my breath, a slow smile spreading across my face. I'd walked into this night looking for a thrill, and I'd found something more, a piece of myself I hadn't known was there. The next morning, I woke up in a motel just off I-80, the sun rising over the Nevada desert, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring out at the endless stretch of sand and sagebrush, replaying the night in my head. It wasn't just about the physical intensity, it was about the power I'd felt, the way I'd taken control and owned every moment. For someone who'd spent so much of her life playing it safe, saying no to risks, this was a revelation. I didn't feel reckless. I felt free. Over the next few weeks,
that night stayed with me. I was back in my routine working as a bartender in a small Reno dive bar, pouring drinks for truckers and locals, but something had shifted. I carried myself differently. My shoulders straighter, my smile bolder. Customers noticed, tossing compliments my way that I used to brush off. Now, I met their eyes, returned their smiles, even flirted back a little. I wasn't the shy girl anymore, hiding behind the bar. I was Ava, the woman who'd climbed into a stranger's truck and walked away stronger.
One night, while wiping down the bar, I looked up to see Ethan walk in. He was alone this time, his leather jacket scuffed, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. My heart skipped, but I didn't look away. He slid onto a stool, his familiar smirk tugging at his lips. "Still causing trouble?" "Ava," he asked, his voice low, teasing. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the bar, mirroring the confidence I'd felt that night. "Only the good kind." "You here to find out?" He chuckled, shaking his head, but his eyes didn't leave mine. "Maybe I am." We talked for a while, the bar's low hum fading into the background. He told me about his roots, the long nights on the road, the way that night with me had stuck with him too. I didn't ask about Caleb, and he didn't bring him up. Some things are better left as a single, perfect moment. When Ethan left, he slipped me his number on a napkin, his fingers brushing mine. I didn't call him not yet, but I kept the napkin, a reminder of the woman I was becoming. That night on I-80 wasn't just a story. It was a turning point. It showed me I could take risks, push boundaries, and come out on the other side not just intact, but stronger. I wasn't chasing that same thrill every night, but I was open to it, open to life in a way I hadn't been before. The road was still out there, stretching far beyond Reno, and I knew I'd find more moments like that, moments that would reshape me. They say truckers have the best stories, but I bet this one tops them all. If you were in Ethan's seat, would you have pulled over or kept driving? Drop your answer in the comments. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.